So one of the things I'll be substantiating in my book is the fact that someone with a congenital limb defect could potentially reverse their situation. So as long as they understand that pain and food and being exposed to the newest and current viral programming is introduced and to be expected. Okay, so viruses that are in the atmosphere are shared by a population who has a predominant programming that is passed back and forth interchangeably. And so we're always upgrading each other, whether it's through Facebook, through the information, or when you're in the same room with someone and you're sharing DNA because you're eating out of the same bowl, you're eating off the same silverware, maybe you're drinking out of the same cups. I mean, you cough in the air, you're getting somebody's viral programming. And so we're constantly fluctuating, upgrading to somebody else's programming. So someone who's at a major deficit with a congenital limb defect, you're like, well, how the hell is that going to happen? Well, pain's involved. Okay? I mean, when you're in a cured state with certain defects, you're not going to evolve. With certain predispositions, you're not going to evolve. Evolution is the ability to take on new programming and deal with the pain of living up to the level of the environment and the population you live among. Okay? If everybody was missing limbs in our society, like missing a leg, it wouldn't be abnormal. It wouldn't be anything, weird. It would just be something that is. Okay? And then if somebody wants to regrow or take on another programming to then have both legs, it would be a painful evolutionary process, and people would be really weirded out by that if the normalcy is to have one leg or no legs. Okay? So now switch it around, and someone born without a leg or a congenital limb defect, right now they are probably a minority. There are viral programming that would get them to that level where they could grow that third leg or second leg if they weren't in a cured state. Cured states keep you stuck in the genetics that you came into this world with a few minor alterations based upon biotech. Evolving to the level of your environment, and that includes the people in the same genus species. Not like you're going to evolve to the level of your dog, because you're not a dog. You're a human. Okay? But you're going to assimilate. It's like, what do you call it? Herd immunity? Herd immunity is not just protection against a new virus. Herd immunity is where you're sharing the same programming and upgrading each other. So as long as you understand what the symptoms are and not try to stop it and put yourself in a cured state yet again. And so, yeah, if someone's born without arms and legs and they're part of the human genus species, then they would have a long climb ahead of them, literally and figuratively, to regrow, and it would be painful. That would be torturous. And so is it worth, and this is where the ethics and the morals come in. Is it ethically feasible, ethically even appropriate for someone who's born without a leg to go through that painful process of cell regeneration, like 3D printing in real time? Because it will be painful. Just like when you have growing pains in your youth, like I did, my legs were very sore in my youth. Okay? And you can't stop it unless you don't want to evolve. If you don't want to evolve, then you can stop it with the cures. Whether it's salt, whether it's an antibiotic, whatever's on the market. And so, yeah, those that have lost limbs in war do have the capacity to regrow it, but is the pain worth it to them to go through that process? And they'd have to know they wouldn't die from the pain, but there are also other predispositions their body must also go through that who's to say when that limb regeneration would happen. It could happen simultaneously. It would happen with other areas of the body that also need upgrades. And so just doing the J juice and the mentality just to regrow your arms and your legs or whatever that are missing, that's not realistic, because yes, that could happen at some point, but there's other parts of your body that could take priority over that, and so it wouldn't happen right away. So it would be a long venture, of which some people don't have the patience. They barely have the patience now to deal with being sick. And so instead of dealing with evolving to the level of your peers, then you're going to try to take what you have and or with the cards that were dealt to you and figure out how to adapt without rising to the level of the environment. And so that's why we have the Olympics, and that's why we have the Special Olympics and all these different, groups and interests and foundations where people are still adapting and still overcoming their handicaps and their deficiencies and whatever, and still can maintain and be still a productive member of society. Is it worth it? Again, is it worth it for someone to rise to the level of their peers and have all of the organs and limbs like everybody else, if it means that they have to go through a very painful process? Well, it depends on what their intentions are, and if they understand what they must deal with. And again, there's no telling how long that would take. And so And so viruses are the programming. My husband has viruses. I have viruses. Everybody in my community has viruses. We're coughing into the air. We are assimilating to each other. That's herd immunity. Okay? That is herd immunity. When you are assimilating to your neighbor. Even if it means you have to, like I visited a neighbor one time that I don't ever really visit, but I wanted just to say hi and kind of get to know them for a minute. But I came away from that situation having to cough, had a runny nose. Okay? And so that was my evolution to my neighbor. So she gave me a little bit of her programming. I'm sure I gave her a little bit of my programming, and we are now, assimilated. We are in a herd immunity status. And so right now with this virus, it eventually it will be herd immunity. Once those rise to the level of, or also be in a cured state or pass away from it, one of the three. Okay, so pain is the evolutionary process to either upgrade to the new environment or upgrade to the level of your peers, and that is in body, mind, and spirit. And when you go to school, you're rising to the level of academia. When you join a group, you have to adapt and evolve to the level of that situation. You can't go in there and do your own thing if you're in a group mentality. That's why group mentality can be very dangerous, because it's very hard to evolve in a group mentality unless you're a leader and your followers can handle the evolution. If your followers can't handle the evolution, you wouldn't introduce new information. You keep them at status quo and take whatever resources are available and then let them let Mother Nature take over. And so, do I know that my dog can handle the evolution? She's still chilling. She's hanging out there. Yeah, it's a battle to deal with balancing her microbiome on a day-to-day basis. But I know she can handle the evolution. If I knew she couldn't handle the evolution, I'd have her put down. But that's not what I'm about. Jilli's mentality is to say all life is precious, and you must feed all the viral programming and let the body decide what needs to go and what needs to stay based upon the viral operating system. But you try to block new evolution, then you will deplete. And so you block any evolution, you'll stay in a cured state for a certain amount of time. But again, the third law of thermodynamics is nobody can survive in a cured state in a dynamic environment. So either she has to evolve and to level the environment, or somebody is going to destroy her. And I'm not destroying my animal. I'm not destroying myself. I'm not going to purposely destroy anyone. I want to give people the opportunity to understand what it means to evolve. And if it means that you have to transition using the medical holistic system to deal with evolution, then you do that, but you make sure there's more life than death that goes on. Okay, you have to feel something in order to evolve to the level of the environment. And then every new evolution is not going to be as aggressive. The reason why evolution is aggressive for people because they're at a deficit. So someone who's missing an arm and a leg are at a major deficit. That evolution is going to be painful. But if they're prepared for it and they know what to expect, it's not a big deal. They just have to know that that's what they have to deal with, and they can use a medical holistic system to help them deal with it, but not completely stop the evolution. But the medical holistic system tries to stop evolution altogether, or keep you in a cured state. But again, the third law of thermodynamics says you can't be in a cured state indefinitely in a dynamic environment. And this environment is definitely dynamic. And the dynamic environment comes from the people. 7 billion people mutating a virus. That's what makes it dynamic. When you have a new virus in the world, that's what makes it aggressive. That's what makes it dynamic. And you have to evolve to it, or you destroy yourself in the process of not evolving to it, trying to be in a cured state. And so regrowing limbs and organs are possible, but it's painful. And so someone has to weigh out the pros and cons of it. And do they have a support system to help them deal with it? Do people in their world understand what it takes to evolve? And does the person themselves understand what it takes to evolve? That it won't be only their arms and their legs that are going to be regrowing, but everything else that goes on in their body that has a deficit is going to have to be dealt with too. And so the whole process is definitely, they're going to have to really come to terms with. They got 11 different systems, and plus their extremities that must evolve to the level of the environment. And so being in a cured state is a welcome thing for some people, and they have a certain lifespan relative to the environment. And I guess, that's the other choice. But at least people should be given the choice. Okay? Some people will make the choice to try to do the JJ mentality, find that's just too painful for them, and they get off it and they go back into the system and take the cures and then have that expected lifespan. Okay? So as long as you know you have the choice, nobody can blame anyone for not giving you the information, because the information's out there. But it's easier for those who are not so much at a deficit than it is for those that are at a major deficit, because the climb up that hill to evolution and to equilibrium and to evolution to equilibrium is arduous for some and easier for others. And so if I can get you before you are so behind the 8 ball, then the climb to evolution and equilibrium and evolution where it's not so energetic and painful, if I can get you before that, then maybe your journey to that point won't be as bad as you think. But I have no idea how easy or how hard it's going to be for you guys. And that's why you have to take your own personal inventory on all the trauma in your past, all the predispositions that you know about, everything in your genetic history. And that will all come into play as you're going through the evolution process when you're feeding the viruses and coding all of your body. And you're not trying to stop evolution, and you're not scared of viruses, and you're okay with feeling the energy, and you have the support system, the rest, the relaxation that you need. You have the food supply. You're not required to be on your game 100% of the time, that you have flexibility in your evolutionary, climb. And that is a lot of balls to juggle. It's not easy. So, all right. Thanks. Bye.